Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to DreamHack Open 2014 Bucharest. It is EG Jaedong versus XMG ToD. It's a best of 3, and we're currently tied up now 1-1. We'll see who takes this first part of the group stage of group stage number 3. Spawning the top left corner of the map, though, from XMG, the blue Protoss player. Give it up for ToD.
In the top right, as the red Zerg, it is EG's Jaedong.
Of course, when it comes to, I don't know, like, I think French accents are the best, but Jaedong's also one handsome hell of a guy. I kind of feel it's really hard, even like on a guy crush standard, like, which of these two is your favorite? I know a lot of people are, of course, have some bets riding on this match with the BaseTradeTV currency. It's really sad, but I'm going to report this, guys. 7,257 Partoufs bet on Jaedong taking this 2-0. So that means this is going to be a big payout regardless of who was right, whether it's Jaedong 2-1 or ToD 2-1, because each of those other bets are about 2,000 and 3,000 respectively. There's going to be hell in chat after this, I guarantee it, of celebrations and anger all at the same time.
You know what I really want to be able to find out, if you had like a time machine, is if they could change their bets when they saw that JD was going Swarm host in game number 2.
I know, it's...
How many people would have changed?
Like, it's not even just the fact that it's Jaedong. I mean, Swarm host can work, and God, it's a really loud play, and I hope you guys can't hear that.
You can definitely hear it.
Yeah, it's so freaking loud as it flies around. It's not even that it was a bad choice to go for Swarm host. I mean, it's a tournament setting. Jaedong knows how important DreamHack is, how he's the favorite to win, and how he needs to break his second place curse. So it's not at all crazy to look at that and be like, look, this isn't the first time he's done this, and as you said, it's probably just not had success of anything he's been streamed, and sadly, once again, that continues. But it's a strategy that has worked before. If you guys missed it, Snoots beat ToD plenty of times doing precisely that. I doubt he'll go for it on game 3, though. Game 3, tied up 1-1, he's got to go for his comfort zone. And
yeah, I think so as well.
Just before too much action happens, shout out to Noir Blood, Black Blood. Thank you for the sub, man. Enjoy your double Partoufs. And make sure to spam our emoticons all over the place.
Okay, so not only is that just the Swarm host didn't really work out last time, but also the positions. It's way too close. Probably doesn't feel too comfortable.
I know, Overgrowth's a weird map.
Oh, yeah, I was like, this isn't Overgrowth Rifkin, but I understand what you meant. Yeah, it is a weird map, but of course it's also still a little bit unexplored. I mean, we've been going into, I don't actually know which week it is of the new season. I'm so bad at this, but so the players themselves probably been practicing a lot and talking internally with their teammates, so they probably have a very good idea of what's going to be the best, but it's still not really set in stone.
Yeah, ToD got the scout off of that third, which was kind of key. It's worth noting that, I don't know, whenever you see this, it's always a little bit worrisome. You never quite know if Jaedong is going to play pure macro, if there's going to be a big all-in to follow it up. So for ToD, he's got to keep his eyes open for the time being. One thing's for sure, though, is he can't leave his wall open. Of course, having gone for the gateway expand in the back, it's going to be exposed for just a little bit. But Jaedong didn't go for the 13 pool by any means. This wasn't a Ling all-in. And I just have horrors and shivers thinking back to mini-math for the WCS qualifiers, catching people off guard in just that precise manner.
Yeah, these exact positions. Oh, God. Jaedong is going for that speed. He's gonna get a lot of lings, as he usually does anyways, honestly.
Well, that's the thing though, right? Like, when I think Jaedong, the first 2 units I think is like Ling Hydra. Like, it's not Swarm hosts.
Yeah. It's
not weird like some sort of Corrupt or Broodlord build. I mean, I really want to see Jaedong play to his strengths here, because for him to go, I mean, it's not even like he'd be out of the tournament. This is the first match in the group stage, right? But it would still be really sad to see him lose this first series, especially when he's the expected victor. Nothing against ToD, of course, but, you know, this is Jaedong we're talking about. This isn't just some small fry random Zerg player from the ladder.
Yeah, these are the 2 guys that I want to go out, so I'm actually like, maybe you guys are a little surprised at how not passionate I am for Jaedong, because I think both of them are still going to get out, but yeah, I kind of agree.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. First blood, I forgot. So we're coming up on hour 11 of me casting at the moment. I will do my best to try to remember in the future games. Sorry, my apologies. I'm a bit overwhelmed by the presence of these players as well, I'm not going to lie.
All these things are going to try and force, well, they are going to force a force field. There you go. I don't know, they can attack the gateways, I suppose. There's a few more on the way, but that's it. I think it was just to distract, so maybe the Overlord wouldn't die as fast as it did.
Well, you want to scare your opponent a little bit too, right? Like Jaedong has revealed a small amount of lings, but for ToD, he's still not going to be moving out to deal with these. Like, you can't send a sentry out. Mothership Core, if it sits here, then it's not scouting the map.
Yeah.
And of course, he wants to catch any probes that may or may not leave the base.
Jaedong getting a Roach Warren actually kind of at a later time. He knew he was pretty safe, but he still wants it in case, there is an attack coming at all. Although Jaedong is the type of person that will deflect like 2 base all-ins with like just really sick Zerglings surrounds. I haven't seen that much of it lately. But 3 more gateways and a Robo and a Spellite Council looks like the exact same thing for ToD from last game.
I like the earlier burrow coming into Jaedong though. I think this will be really cool. Again, whether it's to follow up with tunneling claws or just a way to circumvent sentries, burrow has been a problem for a lot of these Protoss players who like to go for these very heavy, very early sort of sentry attacks. And well, ToD's got a Robo on the way. We'll see if he goes straight to Immortals like I imagine he would, or if he'll crank out an Observer first.
Good question.
No, he would the Observer. I like that. I mean, Jaedong did reveal burrow tactics already. Plus, it's just good to have for scouting information.
Yeah, and it takes so little time. Are you gonna wait for an Observer for 15 seconds or Immortal for 45 or whatever it is?
It's funny that you say it takes so little time though, because I mean, let's say later on when your Observer gets sniped and you're trying to build Colossus and Immortals and
suddenly it takes forever.
Yeah, then that very short, very fast build time is the longest time in the universe. But the macro hatchery at the 3rd base is kind of cool for Jaedong. I like that because he knows that this is going to be the focus of where a lot of his reinforcements will come from. Better to come from, say, the middle of the map than the far corner of the map. The Hydro Sten's coming out here in a moment too. ToD will get a nice scout about this, but it's kind of expected. You get these units out, you're going to expect Roaches and Hydralisks and such as the response. Although there are some players who are bold enough to go Banelings. You don't see it often, but Bane Rain is probably my favorite way I've ever seen anyone deal with sentries. Shout out to Snoots.
Ooh, the Observer is there, so the burrow is not going to help out. Maybe like make them last longer because they regen faster. Not really. Unfortunate.
If there was less Zealots, that would actually be a very viable thing, especially with Tunneling Claws. It actually takes
2 sentries. Yeah.
Yeah, sentries.
You got a few units for that.
I was gonna say though, man, Nathanias is releasing a strategy guide. I hope he's got something in there about the burrow regeneration, because I swear you need like 3+ stalkers to actually kill a roach burrowed with tunneling claws. The regen on it is insane.
I think someone, yeah, I remember someone saying that. Maybe it was you. But Jaedong going for the standard, what we're more used to. It's not Ling Hydra and Amida, but it is Roach Hydra, and then probably into Vipers, honestly. But getting a 4th base as well. And can ToD deal with this? He, again, Blink Stalkers with Force Fields can deal with Roach Hydra, but it's be good Force Fields.
Unfortunately, Queen will get slaughtered. Fare thee well. I like the consistency to Phoenix Scout, though. Usually at a point you think, like, okay, I've got an army that can auto-win, I don't need to scout anymore, but he's making sure that he's not going to get caught off guard. However, Jaedong's done a great job of hiding his army behind that of ToD. Coming from 2 angles, Hydralisk and Roaches force an instant recall. Couldn't quite snipe that Mothership Core. That would have been huge if he had been able to cancel that.
Yeah, that was so close. Now, he still has a cannon as well, so it wasn't, but, Jaedong might send a Ling to the main. He'll want more than 1 cannon.
There's so many force fields here, though, like, for Jaedong to attack into this would be suicide. He saw how many sentries there were, and he knows that they're, like, pretty much all full energy.
Yeah. Try and, at the very least, just to hold it out, like, try and bait more force fields, but don't just run in, because, well, I don't know. Don't scare me.
Alright, force fields on the bottom are pretty good. Force fields on the top don't actually catch anything, really.
Unfortunate.
3 Hydralisks here. Force fields on ToD and I mean, they're not bad force fields, but they're not getting the job done. They're meant to kill a lot of units, not keep them away in this instance. You want to catch them and split them. But Jaedong, realizing a lot of these force fields have been exhausted, might come back in here again. I don't know if he's got an army to actually take this on, though. The Immortals are looking pretty darn good. And while the Stalkers do have Blink, there's not a lot of Hydra to worry about either.
Oh, I thought maybe go for the 3rd, but the gateway wall, if the gateway wall wasn't there, or the cannons back there, I think he tries and goes for the snipe while ToD is positioning. Yeah.
And that would have been fantastic because his own force fields would have zoned him out as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jaedong not really getting a whole lot done here, but he's also not losing a lot. Sometimes these other players try and do this exact same thing, and they get cut in half, and suddenly it's like, pushing 1 for ToD or something like that. Jaedong's still using his units wisely, so he, isn't giving units away.
We say he's not losing a lot, but look at ToD's resources lost right now. Just really retaining this army fantastically. I thought he would have lost way more than that with a couple of sentries that have gone down, but it's only been 3 sentries, 6 zealots, and 3 stalkers. Wow.
I really like how ToD plays it. I mean, so many times you see Protoss just kind of like wait and patiently for Colossus, but he does a lot with gate units and force fields.
Well, this is where we get upset about the force fields, right?
Oh, of course. Jaedong trying to transition into Vipers, most likely, with that hive, is trying to buy time with spines.
I really like this potential southern runaround. All these forces, all the cannons, even they're all faced towards the right side of the base.
Sounds like a country group.
What? Runaround?
Southern runaround.
Hey, no one steal that idea. I got a great idea for a band later. Lots of spine cars are coming down right now. Jaedong really afraid of a counterattack. I can't blame him though. He's seen the amount of stalkers available, and the nice thing about spine cars is they can't be force fielded back. But that being said, ToD once again has a Dark Shrine on the way, and I don't know, there was a bit of a problem for Jaedong last time. I don't imagine it'll be the same degree of problem this time, but it's something he does have to be concerned about.
Yeah, I think so as well. He has a few sport crawlers here and there and some overseers. ToD pushing out with a very scary army. +3 is not quite done, and I imagine he's going to want to wait for that. That's still about 60 seconds off, so this is just kind of posturing and getting rid of that creep.
Alright, Spine Cars can get involved. We do have the counterattacks going on with this, so we get the roaches moving in here. We get a couple roaches heading towards the natural base. I think the stalker count at home currently is not going to be high enough. Sniping out the gas is kind of cool.
There's a lot of counterattacks going on everywhere. ToD's trying to find another position. There's spine clothes over there, but the army isn't there, so they can get force-footed off. He just abandons that base.
Yeah, a good call to completely evacuate that. Nice abducts on the Immortals, though. These are the important parts of the army. They keep the roaches back. Gets every single Immortal. The force field actually sends them scumbagging them stranded in this part of the base.
He's targeting the third. I don't think he's going to be able to get it with the DT helping out.
Oh, man, that's going to get so low, though. So close. But now it's low enough that...
over there.
Exactly, like if he had just run some units around the map, this would absolutely die. ToD, though, still on the front lines, pushing hard. There's mostly just Blink Stalkers, but that's kind of the key thing. They're Blink Stalkers. The Hydra's count isn't good enough to stop this. There's a lot of roaches, but just barely not enough. Jaedong has to kind of conceal and wait. Good abduct, actually.
Yeah, no recall if things go sour for ToD. Blinding Cloud is also available, and, you know, he doesn't really have to use anything abducts.
Well, by blinking away, he also abandoned the sentries, so we see so many of those fall immediately. Only 4 or 5 left, but almost none of them have energy, so the force field threat is now removed from this, and the Hydralists and the Roaches can fight a little bit better, a little bit stronger. ToD's Blink Stalker army looks impenetrable, but I mean, for Jaedong, again, the question is, you know, does he rely on Blinding Clouds and pure force, or are we going to see finally a fungal growth come out of a Zerg player today?
The War Prism is still in that main. He sees it with an Overlord, but he just can't feel like he can, you know, dedicate like even 2 Hydras to try and, you know, kill that.
Can't blame him though. Everything on the front line looks so desperate. More Blinding Clouds going down. This will chase it back. Again, kind of acting a little bit like force fields. Allows him to pick off one of the reinforcement pylons, but there's still one standing. More Blinding Clouds coming down, but the Blink Stalkers blink forward into more Blinding Clouds, actually. However, Jaedong's army is just not big enough to deal with it. He's not out of the game yet, don't get me wrong. He's still got a big supply remax behind this, but the retention of these Blink Stalkers is just absolutely absurd.
The Spine Cloak is really helping out in the main as well. Doesn't have to worry about that War Prism anymore. Fourth is getting attacked by a Zealot, I believe, or a DT. Can he hold off this army, though? The Vipers are going to go down. They're trying to gain some energy. Yeah,
they need a couple more Blinding Clouds to really zone this out. Some drones have been pulled into this as well. And Immortals rejoin the fight, but Jaedong looks to be pushing this back off of creep, but he can't go further than the creep, and he knows it, so pulls back immediately, waiting for these Vipers to get the energy necessary to just litter Blinding Clouds across the field. Level 3 weapons are on the way for Jaedong. Of course, ToD's been on level 3 for quite some time, but this engagement area is just so rough to take a good fight.
And that fourth is going down to a single Zealot.
I mean, who can blame him? He can't afford to segment a single unit away. This is so critical that he keeps the pressure on ToD like this, because the second ToD gets to rebuild Immortals, the more impossible this push gets.
Look how careful he is with those Vipers. He wants the Blinding Clouds in a situation where ToD just simply can't walk out of them, which has been the case every single time. ToD uses Blink Stalkers really, really well.
Every single ToD. I heard that misspeak coming, but the fourth base up here at least... Oh, actually, he's got some Dark Templar. I was going to say this base is safe for now, but never mind. Dark Templar revealed, and Overseer will help clean this up. Gets the Warp Prism, though. That's a huge relief.
Yeah, but ToD, you know, he doesn't really use his Warbow that much. He's been reducing Immortals, yeah, but he seems to give up on that, so reducing another Warp Prism is not too difficult for him.
You know, the one big thing, too, is Jaedong started to even up the units lost. At one point, this was so heavily imbalanced in the favor of ToD, but ToD's taking a fourth behind this. And these units that he's retaining so incredibly well with his control are going to be easily reinforced off of this, especially with that fourth base finishing up. So this gets a little bit rougher for Jaedong. Trying to get those spine crawlers down, one of them awkwardly not burrowing. day 19. I'm with the army.
Finished.
The Archon's gonna be a little bit worrisome too. This is a very big, very huge health unit to be a threat. Blinding Claws need to come down. They are littering the battlefield once again, but he's out of energy, and these Vipers force back the Stalkers one more time. Jaedong holds once again, but
those Stalkers are so confused with life.
Yeah, like, what's going on? Where are we? What year is this? Who are you?
I can't believe they survived. That would have been a huge chunk of pretty much free units because it was the army versus them, and unfortunately Jaedong has to let them go. That was a big save.
Okay, so he knows about this base. He's going to go for the attack. ToD might not actually be able to save this. And let's not forget, this base is still really low, so his shields actually haven't even fully recovered.
This is a good pick off for Jaedong. ToD is looking to wrap around and catch his army. This army is small.
There's no observer.
Will take a great trade.
There's no observer. He could just burrow.
Oh, but he needs to realize that there is no observer. And how often do you really think about that during this, like, 22 minutes in the game?
You're not looking for the blur unless you're a Terran player at this stage. Unfortunately, Jaedong's going to lose a lot of these Hydralisks, but he'll kill quite a few Stalkers for it. Blinding Clouds are unfortunately going to not be enough, and Blade Stalkers will try and focus on the Vipers. One gets away alive. Pure Hydralisks behind this do have the DPS to take this army on, but ToD needs to start blinking.
Oh, like, Jaedong feels he needs to attack, I feel, because he knows he can't retreat with Blink Stalkers. Like, these Hydras, why say the Xel'Naga? I don't... he's going to be able to trade, though. Like, that's always going to be the case. Like, they're not enough Blink Stalkers that just instantly kill them.
This is really key. Both players are on level 3 weapon upgrades, but for ToD, this is going to hurt a little bit more because he doesn't have the armor, and the Hydralisk DPS is already insane as is.
That's a great point. +3 finish somewhere around that entire engagement. It's really helping out Jaedong. Usually you don't see them get up that high. This has been constant action, constant, like, you know, Jaedong on the defensive for like 10 minutes now. Usually you see them forget about +3.
Armor upgrades coming for ToD now, though, are on the way, and this is going to start shifting the battle once again back in his favor as far as upgrades go. But the problem is, Blink Stalkers, they've kind of had their heyday at this point. There's still a lot available, don't get me wrong, but you need an overwhelming amount to take on Roach Hydra, which he currently does not have. If he continues to warp in pure Stalker, there's a chance maybe he wins with the best control in the universe, but the reality is he needs to start mixing it up. Get something else in here, whether it's Templar for the feedbacks on the Vipers, maybe Colossus for the Hydralisks. Well, I guess there's the threat of the Bucks, so Templar might just be his best bet overall because he can get Storms mixed in too. But I don't think pure Blink Stalker will carry him to victory at this point. If he can, great, fantastic. But
he does a lot with Blink Stalker. He's going to be almost using them as if he was facing Swarm Host maybe here. Like, see, if he goes up in the north and he knows the army's down here, he just snipes that base. There's enough Blink Stalkers to snipe a base very, very fast. Or just to kill the drones, obviously.
Roaches will counterattack here. Unfortunately, there are some DTs warping in, so I think they'll kill the Roaches before the Roaches kill the Nexus.
No, not quite. If there's a cannon helping out, maybe. Alright, so the attack, you know, Jaedong unfortunately can't go up there. Of course, as you can see, the force fields went down. Didn't seem to cut off any army, but that just kept them out of the way anyways. Mortal gets pulled.
Nice Nexus did barely go down, by the way. Last shot of that Roach as it were.
Lone survivor.
Alright, well, the force fields, I don't know, you can't really play bait here. I mean, this is such an important base. You either have to take a fight or you have to abandon it, and looks like Army is going to come back to try and defend this. This is so many Hydralisks. Like, what I'm worried about most is there's no real buffer in this army. The Hydra's DPS is good, but if it gets segmented off by a couple force fields, there's nothing to soak those hits. The Hydras will just pop. For Jaedong, though, too, like, again, there's been no observer with ToD's army for the longest time. If not for safety, for, like, burrowing, tunneling claws. There's seriously not a single observer in play right now.
No, but like, you never think about that so far into the game, but it would be so useful. Jaedong could seriously, if he notices it at a decisive moment, that might be able to win him the battle, maybe even a game if he can push and counterattack. But it would only be that once, because as soon as that happens once, ToD's like, okay, observer, observer, observer.
Exactly. So, I mean, Jaedong's kind of the king of control. I'm sure if he sees an opening, he'll take it. But again, you're always a little bit worried. You never quite know what ToD has available to him. These hatcheries, by the way, bleeding out, not because they've ever really been attacked, but from those consumes from the Vipers. I'm surprised he used those on the hatcheries instead of the extractors.
Yeah, well, of course, everything has been, like, him on the defensive, him, like, just, like, going everywhere, so you can't really think about it. Just pick the biggest thing you have. These Roaches looking for what seems to be either proxy pylons or also hidden bases, potentially.
He's seen it, though.
Oh, well, whoops. He'll probably go back once he takes the time to look at the menu.
You know, actually, hang on. I'm noticing we don't have a max here out of ToD, and the key thing is his naturals wind out, his mains wind out. He's got a couple crystals at this third. The denial Jaedong's done of this base twice, I think, is actually the biggest, most important thing he's done so far this game.
I think so as well. This is really a low economy game. I'm surprised that ToD was not able to take care of that fourth up top completely, but because he hasn't, Jaedong is like still actually pretty good, and he might even be able to afford a fifth base. The thing is that when you get a fifth base, you have to also afford the static D that goes down there, because ToD has shown that he will always warp in DTs.
We got some Storm finishing up here in a sec, so that's going to come into play. Storm, of course, does a ton of damage. We'll have some feedbacks available for the Vipers. One thing I'm a little bit concerned about, the choice to go for potential Broodlords? Like there's Blink Stalkers already available. They'll just blink underneath.
I like it. We watch so many games, and every single time I see a Storm person go Broodlord, I rarely see them win. Like, no matter what the situation is, like, they either lose their lead, they don't have a lead, and they lose still.
Well, what I would like to see is, if he's going to make these, he's making way too many Corruptors, I feel. But if he makes, like, just 3, baits a Blink 4, Blinding Clouds underneath the Broodlords, right? That's, like, the perfect trap for all the Stalkers to die. But
I would like to see Infestors. Like, we talked about that, like,
yeah, I know, that's what I'm waiting for the most. Like, yeah, the fungal growth, the infested Terrans, potentially. I mean, it just feels like this huge tech path that's been ignored out of Jaedong. And I mean, he's a smart guy. I mean, it's freaking Jaedong here. It's not like he's ignoring it on purpose or forgotten because he's dumb. He's got a plan that doesn't involve infestors. But I mean, I'd really like to see some come into play. Fleet Beacon coming up next, and this for ToD usually ends up meaning Tempests.
Very rarely do we see them so strapped for cash, yet continuing to develop the tech paths.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is 30 minutes in for what is a very important match. Now, granted, this one doesn't knock either player out of the group, but it's still an important match nonetheless, because it leads into who actually advances out of the group easily or who has to struggle their way out.
Yeah, there's still 2 other players that are kind of tough. There's Yoda and Golden.
Yeah, I mean,
players. Like,
I gotta be honest.
Definitely take serious.
Yeah, I could see either of those beating either of these players in a perfect scenario.
Yeah, me too. So it's a little worrisome. You know, you definitely want to have that free life, whatever you want to call it.
God, he's got so many Vipers, that's so many Blinding Clouds, but again, feedbacks are finally available. I want Tunneling Claws so badly. Broodlord's gonna come down here a little bit. Broodlings bug out so much when they attack. What, do those just return to the Broodlords? I've never seen that happen.
I don't understand how they're floating. I mean, I don't understand how Broodlords float in general.
Yeah, they like bug out weird when they attack.
Not just the Broodlings. Okay.
It's really weird too watching like blink backs after like you've been hit with the whatever. Anyways, pushing forward here just a little bit. Oh, I shouldn't say a little bit, a lot actually. The Broodlords could take a really nice position to engage this, but they're sitting back with the Queens. I mean, these are gonna.
Static defense for Jaedong's 5th is not there. He took it and he didn't put anything down. It's so angry.
Are the Broodlords okay? So what I'm thinking is he's trying to force a fight, but the Tempests are already on a way to react to this, right? Like, it only takes 3 Tempest shot to kill a Broodlord. ToD will literally be able to one-shot these with 1 more Tempest.
But he can pull the Tempests. Like,
that is true.
It's still the hardest situation for ToD. He's the one being sieged. If he was, you know, dancing around the Broodlords on the Jaedong side of the map, actually not that bad.
Well, Broodlings have kind of gone out of control while this is happening. The army does come in from the south side. Lots of storms going down, lots of Blinding Clouds too, but the Hydras can't eat these storms. They don't have the HP to do it. Feedbacks go down on top of the Vipers, and in an instant, Jaedong loses his army. Good game is called, and a beautiful flank out of ToD. Holy crap.